Greetings everyone. In this video I want to talk about sales jobs and sales jobs that require money from you.
Greetings. This infinite source truth is made possible by the generous contributions and support of viewers like you. Please consider making a contribution now. Thank you.
All right. To be independent in business or have sales commissions based on your ability to sell or to create, those types of jobs have a greater opportunity for a larger income than regular salary or hourly jobs. Those are great for a source player. However, you need to be aware that whenever you start a commission-only job, that the same thing applies there as to moving abroad or changing where you are living. If you are not creating flow and you do not have a savings, then you will put unneeded stress on yourself. Now, there are many types of commission jobs, whether it's real estate or mortgage brokers or sales, automobile sales, all kinds of different areas that are commission driven. In other words, you do not get a paycheck unless you make sales. And in some of these cases, your company that you have signed up for will give you a salary for the first few months to get you going, but you still have to pay that back. In other words, that salary that you earned will be deducted from future commissions. And if you're not selling and you're not making commissions, well, you're not going to have that job very long. Now, if you do not have a half a year of your living expenses, at least a half a year of your living expenses in reserve that you can handle 3 months, 4 months without a sale or revenue coming to you, then this really would not be what your source self would guide you to do. Now, if you go into any place and they tell you that you will make such and such number of sales in your first month, how can they be so sure of that? They're just giving you information of what, many cases, it's what you need to hear or want to hear in order to sign on the dotted line. And it will require, all right, real estate, it doesn't matter where you're at, it's going to require you to have licensing. And then you have to belong to an association, which is fees. This is all costs. And you have to have a broker who will take you under their wing. In other words, that broker is licensed in a way that they can have a brokerage, and you work for them, but you're subcontracted. You're not really working for them. Then there are office fees and monthly association fees. And all of these fees add up, and it's a payment that you have to make every single month. And if it's a franchise, well, then there are franchise fees that you have to pay every single month. If you are not making the sales, these costs will eat up your savings. Now, usually what happens in many of these types of situations, they count on your friends and family You let everybody you know that you're in real estate, that you're doing mortgage brokering, that you're doing whatever you're doing. And hopefully, those friends and family, when they're ready to need your services, they will come to you instead of someone else. And so you will receive income based on your family and friends. Now, this goes for other styles of marketing also. Cosmetics, any household items. They count on you tapping into your friends and family and your acquaintances. You've sold yourself to them, and now they are expecting you to be able to sell to them. What I am saying here is, if you do not have a savings in order to be able to live without stress for at least 6 months, a year is even better, you should not be considering going into these type of jobs until you can put away money. It's just like starting a business. You don't start a business and it takes money to start a business. You don't start a business thinking that like that it's going to be 100% up and running and working. Now, if you as a source player have not managed to create the flow in your life before striking out into these areas, then you have not mastered the ability to control your mind and to manifest these things in your life. Whether it is more likely that it is subconscious programming that is sabotaging you, because somewhere, somehow, you have this deep programming that says you will never get out of this area or this income bracket, or you will never succeed, or you can be afraid of success as well. Now, for those of you who are contemplating new areas of work, new areas, exploring new areas, whether it be sales or whatever it is, opening or creating your own business, you really need a strong source self connection, and you need to be asking your source self questions, many questions. And don't just assume that when you ask a question and it says yes, that it means yes at this now point in time. It could be yes, that is where you are to direct your energies into making it come to pass, but it doesn't necessarily mean that today, because it says that you should get a job and such, that you should run out and sign up for that class or whatever it is. You need to, when you phrase your questions, you need to make sure that you're in your now, and asking about it in your now. Just because your source self says, yes, it will benefit you to take a certain type of a job. Well, maybe it's the wrong city. That job is available in a lot of places. But because you're in a certain city, you're thinking that that's the only place that you can have that job. And that's not necessarily true. And that may not really be the case for you at this time. Now, is or was this thing in your script? Or is it something totally new and outside of your script? You see, a lot of you have things in your script and you act on them, but in your script, these things are failures, or these things are not going to take you where you really want to be. Now, I'm going to say, what if you want to go into a certain field and your source self says, yes, it's beneficial. But some of you aren't even asking your source self for one thing. You see, in this game, you can pretty much do anything you want. But there are things that are beneficial for you and things that are not as beneficial for you. And if you start something prematurely and you don't have the backing or the support for that project, for that business, for that job, if you do not have everything prepared for, then you are going to create a huge amount of stress on yourself. And that doesn't mean that it can't work out or that it wasn't something for you to experience. But you need to know that your source self will not put you in a position that it's going to use up all of your money to get that business started, or all of your funds to go and do this job, where it's going to eat up everything that you have. Source would not put you in that situation. Again, it comes back to, if you are not manifesting and you're making decisions out of desperation, then you are influencing the decision. Your subconscious is getting in the way, and your desire to create and have something grander and better than you are currently experiencing is influencing your answers. And if you're in fear or worry, and you're asking these questions, well, fear and worry are lower frequencies. Fear and worry are lower frequencies. And if you have put yourself in that place of fear and worry, and you're trying to get out of that fear and worry, and trying to find a way and make a way, it can be very difficult to get clear, accurate direction and responses. Now, I also want to address when things are seemingly, doors are closing all over the place on you, and you aren't seeming to get a break. Well, are you playing by the rules of the game? Have you removed all the animal meat, flesh, blood, fish, and anything with heart from your foods consumed? Have you reached a level 5? Have you unlocked your script? Now, if you've done all of these things and you are still struggling to make that step, well, there's some kind of something or other that's in your subconscious that is doing some sabotaging. And or you are still a baby in this game, and you were trying to make huge leaps and bounds before doing the baby steps. And I'm going to put another thing in here. When you are going to go, and I'm going to use real estate, to rent a property, a real estate property, or buy, are you going to want someone who's new and has not dealt with the contracts and doesn't really know what they're doing? Or are you going to seek out a individual that has been in the business and has a proven track record? You yourself. Are you going to go pick the newest agent person that you can find, or are you going to want to deal with someone who really has a firm grasp of how things work? Sometimes you need to become an assistant to someone who is really doing a lot of sales and get a job with them where you can learn the ropes and get your hands on, get some time in the business before you break out on your own. And in many cases, when a lot of doors close, well, are you even supposed to be in that town anymore? Is that an indication that maybe you should be moving? Some of you are in high-priced cities where everything costs a lot of money and you are struggling simply because you like it there. And that's what you know and that's what you want to be a part of. But is it really beneficial for you to be there? Are doors closing because really that's not where you're supposed to be? These are all things that you need to take into consideration. Now, if you are a source player that has the ability and has created good flow into their life and has the ability to change their surroundings and their circumstances, and you have that knowing within you that you have that ability, then you can draw people to buy from you instead of the next person. You can have that kind of a drawing power. You can create it in your illusion so it manifests. But if you're not at that stage in your growth and abilities, then trying to make that step prematurely is only going to bring frustration into your game. This game can be challenging. And sometimes you don't want to hear that you're not ready or you're not at that advanced of a level to be able to play the game in that manner. As you're thinking, well, I've done this, I've done that, and you're thinking that you ought to be there, boom, to manifest. And it can cause frustration. But if it's not happening for you, the timing is not right. You are not ready. You are not able, as your circumstances are showing that you are not able. Everything is an experience, whether it is a failure or a success. It's an experience. And does your enthusiasm stop because you had a failure? Does your enthusiasm for this game of life change? Up and down? Yes, you can get tired. But it is a magnificent game. And things don't come to stay. You keep doing what you know you should be doing, making the beneficial choices. I'm also going to say, are you sabotaging yourself with social drinking? And how is that received whenever you're trying to do business deals and everybody else is drinking and you're not? And are you swayed because everybody else is drinking and you're not? Is that making you decide that, oh, this one drink won't hurt? Choices. Choices. And what others expect of you and what you should be, choices that you should be making to benefit yourself. Now, you can do this. Make the best decisions for yourself in this now day. And make sure that you have a strong source connection and that you are not influencing or interfering with the answers that you are getting, that your subconscious is not assisting you along in what you want, but maybe is not the most beneficial for you. Now, there's a lot of different ways that this information and different jobs that this could apply to. And you need to ask if any of it is pertinent to your situation right now. And when I get into the video about your now and your other lives times through this game, you will begin to understand more about how your now in this lifetime, how you need to be specific. Because you see, you've lived this life many, many, many times through. You've played all kinds of scenarios. You've taken all kinds of paths and choices. And those still exist in your now in a different time frame, in a different now moment from a different cell in time in your now. And that will become more clear when I show you how the past, the future, and your now really looks in this game. Because there really isn't any past or future. It's all now. Now, if you find the information that I share beneficial, then it benefits you to say thank you with a gift via PayPal. The link is in the description box below. Abundance, health, and prosperity to you.